I will take what he did to me to the grave.
It looked loving, not knowing that behind that was a sadist, a psychopath.
You have no idea of what I went through.
A lot of women were being abused by this man. I had no idea. I thought I was the only one.
You thought you were in the safest place in the world and you were in the most dangerous.
I didn't know that that thing had happened to anybody else.
These are children of 16, 17 years. He kept all of us in slavery. Total, absolute slavery.
Hey beautiful people, how you are doing today? Check out Destiny here and welcome back to my channel. How you are doing? Hope you guys are doing great. So this video is a very interesting video and I have a lot to say, okay? So this video is about the late prophet TB Joshua. So this prophet, he died about 2 years ago, and there's this old documentary that BBC Africa did with some of his former disciple, and the former disciple are allegedly spilling the tea and saying what was going on in the synagogue of all nations, which that was the church. The late prophet TB Joshua was the head prophet of it. And a lot of the allegations that was leveled against him and they talk about the grave, they talk about grave, isolation, slavery, like a whole lot of things were said about this man, this prophet, what he did, and allegedly what he did, and how his church was run and anything. If you are in Africa, obviously you've heard about this news because this documentary is See a couple of this clip and then we'll come back and talk.
You can use to get to his 5-story was like 4. I call a lady, prophet wants to see you. He will tell you the specific staircase that this person should come.
He would always tell you which entrance to take, which door to get into.
You can ask the ladies to come through any of the door so people don't see them.
He would always ask you, when you come, did anybody see you? You'll be like, no, sir. Then he would again. It was a process, a very nasty cycle.
We couldn't see it right under our nose. He designed a system for deceiving all of us disciples.
A lot of women were being abused by this man. I had no idea.
My dad, he had fear. He had fear, constant fear. He was very afraid that someone would speak up, turn around and make him answer to those things that he had done.
TB Joshua asked me to find virgins for him, to bring young girls into disciple fold.
Each doctor here, you are not a pastor, but you call yourself pastor. Because you use evil power.
The world needs to be awakened to the truth of who TB Joshua was.
In the midnight, this person will be called into his bedroom so that he could disvirgin them. When those girls come out, he usually take all the bed sheets and everything, he pack them and take them to the prayer mountain.
It will just take you, and when it's grabbed a hold of you, it infiltrates your mind.
My name is Rachel and I'm from the UK, and we are all here as evangelists in training under our Father in the Lord, Senior Prophet TB Joshua.
Nightmare.
What the man of God told us, that Satan is the author of killing, of stealing and of destruction.
I'm looking at myself and I don't even recognize myself. I can't watch stuff. I just find it like very disturbing. I just went like down this rabbit hole of like one horror to another horror.
Everyone here in the stadium, everywhere, yeah, say Jesus!
He wanted to be the biggest, best, the most important pastor in the world.
This is the moment we have been waiting for. Prophet TB Joshua has arrived here.
A man who has got a list of presidents in his pocket.
Did you know that the prophet? That's the prophet for heaven.
This is the first time that the truth is being heard from the heart of this organisation. Some people, they are still living in fear for their lives, in fear for the retribution that will come if they do open their mouths.
You are the one looking for men for sex.
I had no idea he was a serial predator.
One of the worst disasters ever to strike a place of worship.
TB Joshua was perpetrating crimes on a global scale for 30 plus years.
I am a serial killer.
I think everybody that came from that place has guilt.
This is terrible.
He took people who were good, caring, kind, lovely people, and he turned them into monsters.
I've been laid flat on the floor. My skirt was lifted up and I was just naked. He hit me with that horse whip.
He will actually lie down on the floor. He will use it. Everywhere blood. He beat you without mercy.
Many a times I have been punished with beatings. You are at his mercy. You are at his mercy.
I remember her being in a state of emotional turmoil. No one is ever in that top position the whole time. That's the cycle. You're built up and broken down.
Look, don't show any sympathy for this boy.
TB Joshua liked to humiliate people. He humiliates people so much. One day, I called him. I said, Daddy, why are you so angry like this? He laughed.
So let me know about what you think about some of this sneak peek that you've seen so far. Let me know your thoughts on this. I personally have a lot to say about this, but the isolation, everything that was said generally about this man and the church and how the church operates and how occultic the church is really says a lot. And I personally have a lot to say. But I would advise, go watch the documentary. I can't share the documentary here because it's almost 3 hours. It's a part 1, part 2, part 3 documentary on BBC Africa. I'm going to leave it down in the description box so you can click it and go watch the full documentary and get full context of what people are reacting to, okay? So this video, we're going to hear people's thoughts on the entire documentary, what people think about this documentary, and what people have to say about the late prophet TB Joshua. And I personally, I have a lot to say. I have a whole lot to say and story time to tell about this man, his church, and all that. Honestly, this video is making me feel some type of way because it's bringing a whole lot of emotions. But anyway, let's go hear people's thoughts on this. Then I'll come back and share my thoughts. And if you've watched the documentary, you go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. Love to know your thoughts on this. Okay, so let's go hear people's thoughts on this. Then I'll come back and share my own thoughts.
Okay, so the amount of things that is said about the crashing of the building is crazy in this documentary of the Synagogue Church of All Nations building. Like they're actually bringing it out that he did something about that. So, oof, guys, you should check it out.
I've just finished watching the BBC documentary on TB Joshua's church, and what a wild thing to have happened. I think many of us know about the Synagogue Church of All Nations, which I think is what SCOAN stands for, but I did not really take into consideration that the machine was that well oiled, and that even in his death, we could still see more revelations come out about this pastor. There's nothing that anyone can tell me that happens in a mega church that I won't believe as a former member and leader in an evangelical church. However, I think, you know, as somebody who went to white evangelical churches, I look down on churches like TB Joshua's church, because they were so over the top. It was miracle after miracle. It went on forever. And in my, evangelical brain at that time, and I even think beyond my evangelical brain, in my quite white indoctrinated brain, seeing churches like TB Joshua's was just what I considered to be people who were trapped with false prophets and not necessarily who were seeking out the word of God, or that these people were being manipulated, even though I was in an evangelical church. The most fascinating part, particularly coming from a white evangelical church and coming from a background where I have revered whiteness and put whiteness on a pedestal, was when TB Joshua's former followers, said that TB Joshua confided in him that he was reaching out to white people and trying to get white people into his church because he wanted to enslave them in the same way that black people were enslaved by colonizers. And, I chuckled at first, but I thought about this method of reparations and how this could look like a form of reparations that is being justified through the Bible, but also feeling like you're part of this bigger plan to bring justice into this world. But when we think about what it means to be enslaved and what it meant for white people to be in TB Joshua's church, I think it's easy to then see that that was just a stupid excuse that he was using, and that the bigger plan was to gain white legitimacy from the white congregants and white visitors of his church, and not necessarily a screwed up reparatory movement of some sort that he sold to some of his higher ranking disciples. I don't think TB Joshua was reaching out to white people as a form of reparations or some sort of revenge or justice or retribution, but I rather think that he knew that in order for him to achieve his dreams of being a global mega church leader, he needed the approval of whiteness and white evangelicals in order to reach the global stage. And so his strategic pursuing of white evangelicals was part of the greater scheme to get him there. Not only that, but he also needed their money. If you're getting people from the UK, from the US, even from South Africa to come into your church, you're talking about people with money. White people often are more privileged and are more well-resourced than black people, and him reaching out to those kinds of white people was quite intentional, and it was part of this big plan to not only put resources into his church, but to also legitimize himself in the process. And I think he did that quite well, and I say well because it worked, but it worked at the detriment of people's lives, and it worked with people, some of the women who are interviewed there were sexually abused, and that's just not right. And for me, what is revealed in this documentary is the extent in which evangelical church leaders are calculating, and how everything that they do is not being done in a way that has not been thought through and as a means to a certain end. And I think for TB Joshua, getting white approval was not necessarily just about him being seen as a good black person or a good black African pastor, but it was really about legitimizing himself in front of the world through white acceptance. As somebody who went to a white evangelical church, I thought of myself as different. I thought of myself as better than people who went to churches such as TB Joshua's church, and it did not dawn upon me that this was because of whiteness and whiteness working within me and within the churches and structures of evangelical churches and churches as a whole, before I could understand that the reason I feel that I'm better than somebody who goes to Scowen or somebody who goes to Chris Okiolembo's church is because whiteness functions in an acceptable manner. Whiteness functions in a way that we can accept in society. And I think part of what had made TB Joshua's church so successful was the co-signing of whiteness through white people that made it legitimate to many people. And I do believe that a lot of people may have gone to that church because they saw white people going to that church. I think white people went to that church because they saw other white people go to that church. If you're interested in anything to do with evangelical churches, deconstruction and that type of thing, I really suggest that you watch the documentary. And please let me know in the comments or in a stitch what you think about the church.
BBC. I know this is some sort of a distraction. Take this energy and interrogate Epstein's guest list. Ask them one after the other, why were you present when the child? Why did why didn't you say anything? Why were you on that island more than 50 times? Ask them more. Those are the kind of worry about your people. Don't come over here and tell us about a dead man. Those people are alive. They kids. I thought people would stand firm for pedophilia. Huh? Worry about them. Don't come here and start telling us G's that will die within 2 days. This one you're coming here now, everybody's doing hashtag TB Joshua. It will die within 2 days. Leave all these lies you guys are here putting out. Worry about Epstein. You still have Epstein to worry about. January 22nd is fast approaching. It's fast approaching, fam. It's not going to look good, innit? So take that time and worry about Epstein's days and stop disturbing yourself over Nigerians. We don't care. Eh.
I'm sure by now we've all seen the TB Joshua BBC video. But listen, I feel like something is not adding up here. It's not even about being a TB Joshua follower, a disciple, or whatever. Like, granted, the man is dead, guys. Anyway, let me just put my 2 cents to this. In the same documentary, you're telling us these people were abusing you, you're being deprived, you were suffering, some of you were even being abused and things like that. Okay, granted. In the same documentary, you're telling us that there were people from all over the world that were coming to visit this church. Some of those people were people from your country, right? This is a foreign land, mind you. The people who are holding you hostage don't understand your language. They don't understand Nyanja, they don't understand Bemba. You're telling me you can't go to one of those visitors that is coming to visit that particular place, the same place where you're being held hostage. You're telling me that you can't go to one of the visitors to speak to them in Nyanja or Bemba. I need to talk to my family, it's urgent. You're telling me you couldn't ask for a phone from somebody from your country to call your family members to come and help you. I'm just saying, if you're using emotions, this actually makes sense. But if you're using logic and you're actually thinking about whatever it is that they are saying, it's not adding up. It's not adding up at all. This is a person who's being abused every single day, and every Sunday you're seeing people from different walks of life, from different countries. In fact, you're seeing some people from your country walking in and out of that place, walking freely with their phones and taking pictures. Mama, you're telling me that you can't ask for their phone to talk to your family members if you're in so much trouble? No. I'm just saying that there are a lot of gaps in that documentary, that's all.
Okay, why dropping a documentary on someone that cannot come out to defend himself? I'm not saying the TB Joshua thing is true, or I'm not saying it's false, but this whole thing is just not adding up personally. If you're seeing me on your FYP for the very first time, I do a lot of gist and lots more. So why don't you stick around to the end? Let's discuss. Now, normally I do not talk about religious conversations. So I don't pass out the wrong message. But after watching the Prophet TB Joshua documentary by BBC, I had, to rethink some certain things. First of all, why doing a documentary on somebody that cannot come out, like I said, to defend himself? And even if are true, what's really the aim? Especially when it has to do sensitive conversations like this. Everyone has the right to believe whatever they want to. So this is not a video to defend anyone. But my own question is, why do people exalt bad news? People exalt bad news so much, I see a lot of celebration about it. Basically, that's why I had to sit down here to do this video. And a lot of Nigerians especially have been waiting for this day. Anyway, in all you do, just make sure you're very careful. Checking out, like I said, this is not a video to defend, condemn. It's just a video that sets out this curiousness about why people really exalt bad news. Anyway, tell me what you think about the documentary by BBC as regards Prophet TB Joshua. Please, no wrong comment. Hear your opinion peacefully. And if you're seeing me again, like I said, for the very first time in your FYP, I do a lot of entertainment, gist, gossips, and lots more. So please, follow for more.
Have you guys seen this yet? The BBC has just released a documentary that is exposing TB Joshua with eyewitness accounts. Now, this has major repercussions because there's many people from America and all over the world that would travel to this man to get an impartation and to receive his anointing. And it may look like he was doing miracles and healing and deliverance. I'm not here to say what he did or didn't do, but people were coming out and there was things that were very unrighteous, that were very unholy, things that were faked, things that were staged, just absolute 100% just demonic witchcraft type behavior, not even type, witchcraft behavior happening within this ministry, and God is putting an end to it and exposing it for what it really was. If you can't tell, the year of 2024 is the year of exposure. This is going to continue to happen in the secular arena and especially in the church. Now, this is a call for all of us to repent, and especially those, you're watching this video, you're playing with God, you're playing with God's people, you know you're in the wrong. My prayer is not that you get exposed and go to hell. My prayer is that you will repent, that you truly get born again and surrender to Jesus. Forget your pride, forget your platform. Your salvation matters more than anything.
All right, BBC Africa have released the long-anticipated documentary, on the senior prophet TB Joshua, the late senior prophet TB Joshua, on what they titled Disciple, the Cult of TB Joshua. It was alleged that women, that he dehumanized women, that he manipulated people and staged miracles. My question is, to what end is this documentary exactly? This man is dead and gone. So if all these allegations are true about him, whom are we going to hold responsible for all this? If we decide to close down the church now, what will happen to all these people you claim he committed these atrocities on? Yes, some videos, came out in years past that he did all these things, but there was no concrete evidence. There was no reputable media that would carry it. Now, BBC Africa have come to carry the news, but to what end? What exactly do you want to achieve with these expositions? What do you want to achieve with this documentary? Do you want to close down the church? That's just my question. I don't have a problem with... Why didn't you come since when he was alive? At least you can hold him and take him to court. You are doing this to people, you are doing this to these people. But now he's dead. Who do you want to hold? You have done part 1. You still want to do part 2 and part 3. As in, are they not the ones that are alive that are doing the same things that he's doing now, that you should go and do investigations on and take actions on them? When those ones buy, you still come back and do documentary because they have already buy. To me, that is the real definition of medicine after death. He's buy and he's gone. So people should just, wanna get out, wanna forget all this nonsense. It don't make sense. It don't make sense. Get out.
Yeah, but Alon, let's be realistic with one another, name regarding the brainwashing that actually happens in our churches. There are so many people who are like church rats, who never grow outside the church. You understand? They never progress in life because now they believe that when they are working in the church or they are always in the church, that is them earning first class ticket to heaven. So when I'm watching the documentary of people sharing the experiences with TB Joshua, people who used to stay in the church 24/7, you would understand that there will be a lot of brainwashing where people don't even watch TV. They're not exposed to the outside world because they are supposed to be protected from all the evil which is out there. If TB Joshua is really a man of God, of which for me, I've followed him for the longest time, I had no reason not to believe that he's a man of God, there's no need for children of God to protect him and the work of God that is done. It only takes brainwashed people to see the need to protect God and defend God, and other people would follow that. I mean, if TB Joshua is a true man of God who was working for God, then it will take God to protect the integrity and the work of God that TB Joshua did. I mean, what kind of Mickey Mouse God are you defending? Isn't God supposed to protect you instead of you protecting God? Can people use their own brains to decide for themselves whether they believe what those people who are sharing their stories about their experiences in TB Joshua's church is true or not? Outside the church, people actually have a brain to decide for themselves whether they want to believe things which are being fed to them or not.
Now you realize that men of God are just like you. They are not perfect. They have blood running through their veins, so they have their own imperfection. They get their own for body too. The better for you. Now let's talk about TB Joshua. Now I saw a BBC investigation that they have been doing for months to uncover blah 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 blah. Women came outside and said that they were, they said a lot of things, plenty things, my guy, when I know if he finished. And I'm wondering, what is the purpose of this investigation? Is it to get justice? You can't get justice, obviously, because he is dead. They no fit lock dead body, they no fit sentence dead body to prison. Or is it to create awareness so that other girls don't fall victim? He's already dead. No one can be a victim of him anymore. Is it to like what exactly? You guys covered up this person. If truly what you are saying is true, I can never judge. I'm not saying TB Joshua did it or he did not do it. Now, but if what you're saying is true, you covered this secret for years. I know it's not easy to talk about abuse. Maybe you're being threatened, maybe you're being brainwashed. But what is the purpose of this investigation? That's what I want to know. I'm confused. Because if this kind of person can do such terrible things to other people, allegedly, and you guys kept it till he dies, what justice are you looking for? I might be wrong. Because it's not making sense, right? If he was alive and you people did this thing, it would have been perfect. If he was alive, you guys spoke up, it would have been perfect. It's not easy to talk about abuse. I know that. But 13 years, you've been there. 14 years, some were there for like 15 years. Until he died, before you start speaking up. May God help us. The whole purpose of this video is that men of God are not perfect beings. Yes, they are not perfect beings. They are just like us. They have.
So, I was watching that TB Joshua thing. That's bad. But what I noticed is that people easily fall for these things, and pastors end up having sex with pastors and all that, because you people want to have relationships with men of God. You don't want a relationship, personal relationship with God first. You know, the pastor is just to guide you and, you know, to help you. You're not supposed to be putting them on a certain pedestal, you understand? They're just a person like you understand? The same anointing in that person can be the same anointing in you. You just have to tap it and, you know. So please, guys, just establish a personal relationship with God first. Read your Bible, know your word, so you don't get... Stop seeking pastors and seek God. Read your word, know your word, you know, spend time, personal time, after church or whatever. Go home and analyze the word yourself, so that you don't fall for these kind of things and all these fake pastors. That even when you're in a church with a so-called fake pastor, you know, you have the spirit of discernment. You'll be able to discern that, come on, this is not right. Because how does someone convince you to sleep with them and you think it's right and godly? Yo, guys, watch out.
This BBC documentary about TB Joshua that is titled The Cult of TB Joshua, that, you know, spoke about how TB Joshua operated when he was alive. And, you know, it detailed about allegations of torture, staged miracles, sexual abuse, rituals, you know, allegations of torture. And this has really stirred mixed reactions, because some people have the opinion that why drop a documentary about somebody that can't even come out to defend himself, that they are practically trying to tarnish the image of TB Joshua. While some people have the opinion that, oh no, say na so TB Joshua be. But for me, honestly, those videos are very disturbing. Let me show you a part of the video.
Removed my clothes and then he just pointed. So I lied down and then he broke my virginity. I was screaming and he was whispering in my ear that you should stop acting like a baby. Better shut up. You want to make noise? You want people to hear? I felt like there was a beast. Like this beast. I was 17 years old. I was underage.
When he come back from the service, he kept forcing himself on me. He assured me God was not upset. the more I made him happy, God will be happy with me.
He grabbed me and he held me very close to him, and he literally then pushed me down to the bed and he got on me.
I was still so shocked. I was still bleeding. He spit on the floor and he held my hands and he looked straight into my eyes and said, "I can see you are my child now. Don't betray me."
You were absolutely trapped because you were there for salvation and he was the only one who could give you salvation. And I had told myself, no one else will ever want you. And there is no home for you. And I just knew, you just tell yourself, oh, this is my life. I have no alternative.
Look, each time you'd be called, each time they would say, "Daddy's calling you." Hey man, the bottom line is you'd have to go there. You would have to just put your feelings aside and just go there.
Hey yo, hope y'all are good. Just a quick one from me. Just like to say something. I've had a few people ask me about the recent Prophet TB Joshua documentary by the BBC. Came out today. And I will give a proper response to that because I think everyone has their experience with the man. What I just like to caution, as people are watching this and all of that kind of stuff, is understand that this is an edited documentary, and the editor or whoever it is that put it together, based on what people said, because I guess from 45 or 30-minute interviews in some cases, a few seconds was selected. So literally when you do that, you can tell a story. So for me, I'm going to watch it in more detail, and it's just interesting to see what narrative is being driven, if any, and what has been said. So I just wanted to give a word of caution. Know that there's a lot more, but I will give a detailed response in due course.
Please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this video and even the documentary down in the comment section. But please keep it respectful. Here on this channel, we are allowed to disagree, but we do it in a respectful way. So please, let's be respectful as always here. So if you haven't seen the documentary, please, I would advise and I'll urge you go check it out. So I didn't want to say much at the beginning and all that, but there's so much about this documentary that just really got me. The very first time I ever saw TB Joshua or even saw his face, I was probably 13, 14 age. And it was my friend's uncle that showed my mom. I'm going to give you guys my own stories, but then I'll let you guys know what I think, okay? So it was my friend's uncle that told my mom about him. That's because of my health, because I had severe asthma as a teenager. So the man was like, oh, you should take your daughter there and she will see this man of God. He heals people, because that's what the ministry is all about, mostly about miracles, healing people of different type of illness. And my mom took the tape. It was a VHS. My mom took the tape, and I remember us as kids just sitting there. My mom played the tape. There was a whole lot of gross things that I saw on TV, and my mom was like, "Oh, we're going to go." And I looked at my mom. The first time I saw it, my discernment, the first thing was that I didn't like it. Like I've always said it here on this channel before. I was that child that I asked weird questions, and I wasn't just like every other child that would do anything just because you want it. I will speak up. I will ask questions. I'll push back as much as I can. And my mom was like, "Oh, we're going to go because your asthma is really severe." And I remember telling my mom, I don't like him, I don't like the energy, and I'm not going. My mom was like, oh, somebody that's going to help you with your health and all that. Fast forward, and this I'm talking about first-hand experience of people I know. Fast forward, years later, there was this my mom's friend that had an accident, a knife accident on her leg. So she had this big cut that was not getting well at all, nothing. And she has been treating it for years. The leg was getting bad. And even doctors had actually recommended that they are going to cut off the legs. And my mom told her, like, oh, there's this man, TB Joshua. I have the tape. My mom sent her the tape. I'm not sure if my mom actually went to TB Joshua at that time, but I know eventually she went later on. But I don't know if that's. I think my mom went to TB Joshua, so she has more of the tape because she has the tapes in the house anyway. So my mom gave the tape to our friend, and our friend was like, "Oh, really?" And our friend was like, "What's there for her to lose?" And our friend came to Lagos. I was in a different state with my family, and she came to Lagos to the church. And I'm not sure about how long she stayed in the church, but by the time she came back to see my mom, she was well, her leg has healed, and she said that they were all serious of prayers and all that TB Joshua healed her, and that when she was about to do Thanksgiving in the church, TB Joshua told her to go back to our home church and do Thanksgiving there, that she does not have to do it in the synagogue church. That is, and for me, first time seeing that woman in her health condition and then seeing the leg 100% heal was really mind-blowing for me. Like, everybody was surprised about it. Fast forward to some years back, because it's no longer a couple of years, it was before I got married. My grandmom, which that's a guilt I have inside me. Sometimes when I think about it, there's this anger I have about the entire thing, because when you see the church on TV, is really different from what it is actually. But anyway, let me move on with the story. So my grandmom had stroke, and my dad said they should take her to TB Joshua, because at this point, my dad now has been sold the whole miracle thing. TB Joshua is a powerful man and all that. My mom that brought it into the household, my mom then I started pushing back at it, like side-eyeing it. And she was like, oh, my mom has to take my grandmom, which is my grandmom from my mom's side, to the church. And when my mom got there, they got there trying to take my grandmom into the church so that TB Joshua could heal my grandmom. Because my grandmom, like I've said it, my grandmom is one of the strongest women. My grandmom is the strongest woman I know. And that's my role model out there, okay? And seeing my grandmom in that state where she could not move really broke a whole lot of people around her, because she was like the backbone for a whole lot of people. So they took her there, and the reports we were getting and what we see on TV, we see people that came going into the church. And my mom called back home saying that they didn't allow them into the church because my grandmom could not work. So they rented a place close to the church, and they keep trying to get into the church to see the prophet TB Joshua, but they could not. And cut the long story short, in that entire process, my grandmom died. And for me, that's really rubbed me off the wrong way, because what you see, because first, as a young child seeing TB Joshua at first, my first instinct, I didn't like, my energy did not connect with it. I didn't like the energy. And hearing what they portray on TV is really different from what it is in real life, how they select people that comes into the church, just even make me even more suspicious and even angry, because I lost one of the most important person in my life in the process of getting healed, miracle, when she could have easily been at home and she would be well taken care of. But that's what my society believes so much in miracles, believes so much in religion. And maybe that's the reason I don't believe in religion. So for me, do I believe what a whole lot of these people are saying? Yes, I believe it. And people that are saying that, oh, why is it... sorry, guys, I'm all over the place. This video is so hard for me to film, but I'm trying to film it and get it out of the way. people are saying that why now there is no justice because this man is dead. If you notice but I'm not saying this is what happened allegedly, okay? But if you notice at the end of the documentary, TB Joshua died 2 days when this documentary just started, or the interview of his former disciple started. That's when he died. And TB Joshua's death was very sudden. Nobody saw it coming. It was just, TB Joshua is dead, is dead. There was no explanation what happened for such a popular figure and a mega church. There was no explanation about what happened, how he died. They said he was found in his quarters in the synagogue church dead. For me, the first instance I got was like, could it be that the things he works with, because obviously I felt like it wasn't God there. I didn't feel God there. I felt like there was something more, and I was like, could it be that it was the things he played with that was my first instinct. Like, guys, everything I'm saying here, these are my opinions, these are my thoughts, these are my story, okay? So I'm not saying that's what happened. This is my story, okay? And I was like, that was the first instant. And this happened, he died like 2 years ago. And then hearing this, some people are saying that could it be that he unlived himself when he found out that a lot of these things are going to come out? Who knows? But I feel like that is a very high possibility, because this man has built such a pedestal for himself, such a grand for himself, such a prestigious name for himself, that he might just want to unalive himself. I'm not saying that's what happened, allegedly. It's just to keep his name, because you can hold a dead man accountable for his wrongdoing. You get it? So, yeah, I know this video is long, but guys, that's my own thoughts on this TB Joshua. But I just feel like they decided to release it because they've already started the work. The budget for the documentary is on already, so BBC just went ahead to go on with it. But I also feel like this is also to raise a lot of awareness to a whole lot of miracle churches. We still have a whole lot of them in the country, in Nigeria. So I just feel like this is just to draw more attention to it and just get people talking and get people to think and be careful out there. But yeah, there's been no justice. It's just so sad. But that's the thing that breaks my heart the most, is that there will be no justice for these stories being shared, or even accountability or anything, or even yet TB Joshua side of the story. Anyway, guys, please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. Love to know what you think about this video down in the comment section, but please keep it respectful. Yeah, on this channel we're allowed to disagree, but we do it in a respectful way, so go ahead and share your thoughts. With that all said, guys, please share this video with somebody that you want to be part of the conversation, because that's what we do here. We have banging conversation, so go on and share this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, smash the like button, because this helps YouTube to push out my content for more people to see, and that will be you supporting your girl. With that all said, guys, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I will see you guys in my next video. Deuces.